Are you tired of living life in this pandemic, where you can't have fun responsibly due to social distancing and masks? If so, then surely you've heard of the plethora of vaccines being developed and distributed across the globe. My name's Connor Campbell, and even if I may not be one for going out to lavish parties, I'm still willing to throw caution to the wind in a pursuit of getting the world back into a normal state. Today, I wish to look into the vaccines, their relations to their predecessors, concerns surrounding them, and how one may get their COVID vaccine. First things first, it is important that we establish which vaccines are on the market today and how they shake up the patterns that so many vaccines of the past have had. Starting with the most accepted vaccine, yet as of recording this, now the most scrutinized, we have the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. This vaccine took the longest to exit the trial phase and thus took the longest to enter the market. This vaccine uses the tried and true method of immunization by exposing your immune system to a weakened form of the virus. According to the CDC, this vaccine has a success rate of 72% in the US, with only one vaccine needed. Next up, we have the Moderna vaccine, which has a success rate of 94.1%. The kicker with this vaccine, however, is that it is in 2 doses, one on an initial injection date, and then a follow-up vaccine 29 days later. On top of that, this vaccine is using a new format that uses mRNA, which I'll go over later. This type of vaccine is new to the common world, with this pandemic being the first time that this technology can truly shine. Speaking along the same lines, the third major option for vaccinations, and the one which I got earlier today as a matter of fact, would be the Pfizer vaccine, which was the first vaccine to use the mRNA formatting on the market. Like the Moderna vaccine, it requires 2 doses, one on the initial date, and then a second one only 22 days later. The Pfizer vaccine boasts a 95% efficacy rate with their mRNA technology, which causes your body to produce spike proteins that your immune system can then begin to recognize and attack. These spike proteins are the very same that coat the walls of the COVID cells. Assuming that everyone would get one of these vaccines at least, we could hopefully be done with this pandemic by mid to late summer. First things first, we need to talk about the speed at which these vaccines were developed and tested. According to the CDC archives, the smallpox vaccine, the very first, was developed and tested from 1958 to 1977. This seems almost comedically slow when compared to the COVID vaccine, which was being developed over the past 4 years. This cut of almost 60% in development time and testing time can be attributed to the advancements in the medical research over the past century. This has led individuals to be worried over the, quote, rushed development of vaccines. One observation that seems to be commonplace among these individuals is the belief that the development only started once the pandemic was underway, despite reports from the CDC which show how they've been working with SARS strains similar enough to COVID-19 for the past couple of years. One other thing that people are showing concern over would be the possibility of unforeseen side effects, most notably now in the wake of the AstraZeneca vaccine and now, as of recording, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The issue of focus within these 2 vaccines would be the formation of blood clots. Blood clots are one of the more extreme effects of COVID, which can cause grave issues if left unresolved. The reason that this is happening is due to a rare antibody reaction that happens within certain patients. Aside from that, though, blood clots have only been documented within the use of the AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson vaccines, and only under rare circumstances. Finally, for these worries, there's concern over the Moderna vaccine due to the rushed trial period in which half of the patients were given the vaccine and the other half were given a placebo. The issue with this experiment is that the participants were not told which one they had received, even after the trial period was up. This has caused a stir with many older individuals of color, as it brought back haunting echoes of the Tuskegee study, in which African American minorities were tricked into being test subjects to see how syphilis would affect a human untreated. These parallels have unfortunately led to a distrust within the African American community, leading some to outright reject the vaccine over fear of being unknowingly experimented upon. This sentiment is so common, in fact, that parodies are being made of these on skit shows like Saturday Night Live. In spite of all of these concerns, however, there have been no other observable issues in terms of ethics, development, and/or distribution of these vaccines. Finally, and most importantly among all this information, would be how one could go about receiving their COVID vaccine. The locations where you can get a vaccine are listed on your state's health department website. From there, you will find details on where you can register for a vaccine and how to apply for a specific vaccine. In North Carolina, for instance, you can use the map on their website to find locations that offer certain vaccines. From there, you must simply fill out the surveys required by your distribution center of choice and then proceed to schedule your appointment. Now, with everything said and done, I can only urge you and those close to you to get the COVID-19 vaccine if you haven't already. Doesn't matter which one. I've highlighted your options. That's your choice to make. The point is, you need to get it. Because once everything is over and we can return to normal, we can all hopefully laugh and relax with those who we couldn't see due to this god-awful pandemic. After all that time spent with friends and family back then was so often taken for granted. With any luck, now we may have a renewed value of that kind of quality time.